Hi, I'm Dr. Jay Hobbs. Thank you for taking a moment to understand your Metabolomix lab test more thoroughly so that you can get more effective and complete and lasting results from it. So synergy means that the whole is greater than the sum of its parts. There are a couple examples. It can happen in a negative way or a positive way. So we find often it's been in a negative way in the past, nutritionally, structurally, or neurologically. And so we try to take those components and then combine them in a uniquely powerful and positive way. So today we focus on the nutritional part of that, nutritional, structural, and neurological. And so we rebuild that and support that important pillar of your health. Even so, remember that your body is a whole. Sometimes addressing one pillar is sufficient, but at other times it requires positive synergistic approach to overcome the momentum of the negative synergistic influences of your genetics, history, environment, and habits. So the three pillars of health are nutritional, structural, and neurological. Now, nutritional, that's deficiency, toxicity, gut health, and food or chemical sensitivities. We get some information here from history, questionnaires, and the exam, but functional lab tests usually give the most clear and helpful insight. Next is structural. That's bones, muscles, fascia, joints. The digital foot scan, physical exam, x-ray, and MRI, which sometimes we take, reveal what you are made of structurally. And then neurological, that's balance, coordination of eye, arm, hand, strength, tone, reflexes, autonomic control of heart, digestion, respiration, etc. Now, none of us are just right. We are nutritionally malnourished, we're structurally crooked man, and we're neurologically short-circuited. And what are the causes of those problems? Well, it really boils down to toxicity, trauma, and thought. There's also genetics, but the cause of genetic problems are also trauma, toxicity, and thought. Our bodies naturally repair and adapt, but the world naturally degrades our body. Now, the problems we find are important because addressing them appropriately will form the solution to your long-term health. The goal is to find the problem that you and we can correct naturally so your body can adapt and heal and continue to adapt and stay well. Now today we're spending some focused time looking at the nutritional pillar. The details of these results can seem overwhelming at times, but rest assured, we'll give you simple and specific instructions to apply. They won't be easy, but they will be relatively simple and specific. This will take some work, but living unhealthy is hard work too. The expectation now is that your hard work will reward you with results of recovery and restored function and health. So please look at the Metabolomix lab results report we provided you, and it will look like this. At the top, the results overview begins with categories of dysfunction, color-coded by the general level of dysfunction. Now don't be fooled by greens though. The problem and the solution is often in the details. Each one can be renamed for easier understanding. The first, oxidative stress, can be thought of as free radicals. Mitochondria is the nuclear power plant of the cell, and it can dysfunction. Omega, that's essential fatty acids. This is not tested on everyone, so it may not be present on your test. Toxic exposure, that can be external or internal, as from your gut with bacterial yeast overgrowth. That's dysbiosis. And methylation imbalance, converting and detoxifying. Converting, that's a bad chemical to one that can be removed, or a good chemical to another chemical that can be more easily used. So you notice that the columns are labeled the same as the topics above. Oxidative stress, mitochondria, the nuclear power plant, omega balance, may not appear if not specifically ordered, etc. The title just above each category, highlighted in blue, is the general type of nutritional or lifestyle intervention needed to improve that category's function. Now the color ratings correspond to a number rating range 1 through 4, which is not too bad. 5 through 7 means it's a problem, especially if there are several in a single body system that drag each other down. And 8 through 10 indicates a big problem, but also a big solution. Now the category numbers are meaningful, but the details are where the solutions really lie. So lots of yellows or reds are actually good news. Good news because you likely already know you have problems, and you call it symptoms. And these colors and numbers help explain the cause of your symptoms. And that's good news. Even better, they suggest a solution for the cause or your symptoms. That's great news. Now let's turn to page 2 of the Metabolomix report. Here on page 2, we're looking at the computer's interpretation of findings and its recommendations for solutions. These are a good starting point, but we don't always agree with the computer. As we go through the results together, we'll further personalize the recommendations to your life and needs. Now, notice the diamonds located along the green, yellow, red bar. If the diamond is in the red portion, the suggested recommendations are outlined in red. In this example, you'll see that Thiamine B1 is in the red, indicating a high need for the supplement. Now, yellows matter too, just not quite as much. Notice which ones are in the red on your printout. So we'll reference these in the coming pages. Now let's flip on over to page 3. Here on page 3, we begin the interpretation at a glance section. We see individual nutrients with their colorized bar and your need, as well as the computer can guess your need, indicated with the diamond and the numerical rating next to that. Now below that are some general facts about the nutrient. To interpret those, let's look at the key at the bottom of the page. So we have function of the nutrient, cause of deficiency, complications of deficiency, and food sources of the nutrient. So now let's flip on to the next page, page 4, and read some of the details as it relates to Thiamine B1, the one that's read in this sample report. So here on page 4, we notice that Thiamine B1 has several things going on with it. So B1 is required cofactor for enzymes involved in energy production from food. The deficiency causes include alcoholism, oral contraceptives, the use of hormone replacement therapy, or even large amounts of tea or coffee, which contain anti-B1 factors. Then the deficiency complications include neuropathy, that's nerve disease, or muscle weakness, and even dementia. And finally, food sources include lentils, whole grains, wheat germ, etc. We'll notice that foods at the beginning of the list tend to be higher in this B1 than those at the end of the list. So lentils, whole grains, and wheat germ would tend to be higher in B1 than spinach, milk, and eggs. So we won't go through all the educational material together, but I want you to be able to understand how it can be used. You can read through all the information later, and later we will discuss applying your results to your specific solutions. So let's flip over to page 7 now. Here on page 7, we're looking at one of the numerous metabolic pathways used to analyze and interpret your findings. This analysis and interpretation into functional categories is one of the main benefits of this specialty lab, Genova Diagnostics. A standard lab company would just provide a list of chemicals and reference ranges, and it would take forever to come up with solutions that you can act on. Now, we're not going to go through all of this for sure, but just so you understand how the tested chemicals fit into your body function, let's take a brief look at one of these metabolic pathways. This is the citric acid cycle. For this process, we start with fatty acids, carbohydrates, and proteins. And then they're all converted to acetyl-CoA, which then feeds into the citric acid cycle proper. The process continues around the circle with one organic acid being converted to another. The ultimate goal of this metabolic pathway is to produce energy. Did you know that your body, what it uses energy for? Everything, every cell, whether it be a nerve cell, digestive cell, a skin cell, a hormone-producing cell, a kidney cell, a liver cell, all cells in your body need energy to function, to produce, to repair, to defend. So yes, if this system is dysfunctional, you're likely to be low on feeling energetic, but your body will also show compromise in other functions, starting with your genetically weakest ones. That's helpful to know, but we don't supplement with organic acids usually. Those come from fats, carbohydrates, and proteins. But if the metabolic machinery is not moving along, converting one chemical into another, we need to know why and to address it. This is where we zoom in a little closer. For example, if your magnesium or B2 are deficient, you can't go along the normal conversion path. This means that the fatty acids get diverted to a less efficient byproduct. Now we pick up this on your test results and start drawing conclusions. The more often or the more dramatic we see an inefficient conversion involving a particular nutrient, the more likely you are deficient in that nutrient, and more likely supplementing with it will dramatically improve your health. Now, as you think about this more, you should ask, well, why not just measure blood levels of magnesium or B2 instead of all this confusing and difficult assessment? I'd say that's an excellent question. And it's because your body prioritizes blood levels of nutrients. Having the nutrients, whether it's blood sugar, B2, magnesium, or whatever, at optimal levels in the blood allows it to keep the nutrient monitors of the brain satisfied. The brain will direct the removal of minerals from other organs like bone for minerals, sugar from your liver, etc., to maintain those blood levels. On the other hand, testing this way, functional lab testing of metabolic pathways and conversion effectiveness, allows us to know what your tissues need, not just what an average person needs or what your blood levels happen to be. Everyone is unique. Your results allow us to cater to your specific biochemistry. So let's flip over to page 8 now, where we get to really finding solutions specific for you. Here on page 8, we begin to notice the diamonds along the green, yellow, red bar, indicating where your levels are. You'll also notice that some of the colored bars have red on both ends. This means the specific compounds may be out of range if it's too low or too high. Okay, I think that's enough of an education about your general results. Now it's time for us to get together and discuss your specific results and what they mean for your health. This part requires discussion because one result finding does not have just one possible interpretation. Your diet and your activities influence the results. Also, one must be interpreted in light of other results because your body's not a bunch of separate conversion pathways, but an orchestra of integrated pathways. You are incredibly complex and incredibly unique. The science is not perfect, but it is really helpful. So let's use it to take another big step toward restoring and maximizing your health so you can get on with living the fullest. Now, the details of this that we've covered and what we'll cover may seem overwhelming at times, but rest assured we'll give you simple and specific instructions to apply at the end. You really don't have to remember all this. The instructions won't necessarily be easy, but they will be relatively simple and specific. The reason for all this explanation has been to help you know the why of the type of testing we do, the why of the recommendations we provide, and the how such simple recommendations can be so powerful. In short summary, this functional lab test provides detailed insights into your unique biochemistry needs. This results in recommendations that are specific and targeted to your needs, allowing for powerful improvements in your body function for defense, production, and repair. So please let one of the staff know that the video is finished. After you notify the staff, the doctor will be with you shortly to help you interpret the results and apply them. So at this time, if the video continues on to another, please pause the video. We have reached the end.